WTF Tesla stock. What in the world is going on? Tesla is down about 8% today. I'm going to give you the latest details from Analyst after this Robotaxi disastrous of event. Now, we did also get bank earnings that I will cover for you as well here in this video, and some economic data. Let's start this video off with your Analyst commentary from the Robotaxi event. This article has Morgan Stanley and Oppenheimer's take on this event. And right from the start, the headline says Tesla shares slide as lack of key details at We Robot event leaves analysts disappointed. They say, quote, "We would imagine there may be multiple seating and interior configurations available given the limited utility/size of the two-seat market," Morgan Stanley said in a Friday note to clients. According to Tesla chief executive Elon Musk, people will be able to buy the Cybercab for less than $30,000, though it's unclear if that price is before or after incentives, the brokerage wrote. The event lacked a detailed discussion on the Cybercab's capabilities, other than the mention of inductive charging, according to the note. The vehicle is being perceived by many as the Model 2 prototype, repackaged as an autonomous vehicle, Morgan Stanley said. "We were overall disappointed with the substance and detail of the presentation," Morgan Stanley wrote. Tesla shares were down 7.8% in Friday trading and have lost nearly 11% in value so far in 2024. Tesla expects to launch the fully autonomous unsupervised full self-driving or FSD in Texas and California for its Model 3 and Model Y vehicles in 2025, Morgan Stanley said Friday. Quote, "There was no demonstration of or updates to the latest advancements of FSD technology. No mention of any go-to-market strategy in a ride-sharing service or supporting economic inputs for investors to dig into. FSD is a driver assistance software offered by Tesla." So they're basically saying, yeah, Tesla said this, but they're not really giving us a roadmap for this. They're really not giving us much clarity at all. It's pretty opaque. Separately, Oppenheimer said that although Tesla indicated that the Cybercab vehicle would be for sale initially, it didn't introduce any incremental user interface or app. "We believe investors have limited clarity on Tesla's capture value strategy outside of vehicle sales, limiting upside to shares." The event didn't provide any detail on the learning rate of FSD software nor the impact on performance from the company's expanding compute capacity. Tesla didn't introduce a drone or a fast mile delivery service. While its Optimus humanoid robot still appears to us as very much a development stage effort to date, the brokerage wrote, there was also no update on its low-cost vehicle production plans nor demonstration of robotaxi or humanoid functionality in challenging conditions, Oppenheimer said. "We continue to see a window of opportunity for the company and believe the platform has significant capability, but found the event underwhelming." And for those of you guys that were live with us, this event did not start for almost an hour after schedule. Now, yes, there was a medical emergency that happened, and I salute Tesla for, delaying the event to take care of that. But the event itself, the actual speech from Elon, was like 10 minutes long. It was not very detailed at all on anything. And if you're a Tesla investor, you were expecting a little more. And as I explained in the last video, kind of giving a summary of this event was really like two different events from analyst perspective. We had the Robotaxi, and then we had the Model 2. If you're thinking about the Robotaxi, limited launch in 2025. Texas and California, where regulatory approval is going to be a little bit easier. That was kind of just what we were expecting. We got the Cybercab, what we were expecting. Everything was kind of in line with expectations for that aspect. Besides, we didn't get too much detail on, again, the rollout speed and maybe what cities we were going to target first. And that just makes it really hard for analysts to try to piece together what that could mean for Tesla on a valuation basis. So yes, there were some holes in the Robotaxi side, but generally it was what we expected, which in market terms is not enough to impress investors. On the other hand, the Model 2, well, we were expecting it to be built off of the Robotaxi platform. And Elon said the Cybercab would be for sale in 2026 or by 2027. So implying late 2026, whereas investors are now shaking their heads or scratching their heads, I should say, and, thinking, is the Model 2 now going to be delayed until 2026? Wall Street was expecting this in 2025. And we didn't get any clarity on that either. So I think a lot of the actual disappointment today from the market's perspective and why Tesla is down 8% is because of the lack of clarity on the Model 2 details. Just going along the timeline Elon Musk presented last night, they kind of just delayed the Model 2, the lower priced Tesla, until 2026. Which is not what Marcus wanted to hear. Now, Wedbush says Tesla's Robotaxi event unveilings to guide transition from EV maker to robotics mobility player. They go on to say that Tesla's progressing towards fully autonomous driving with plans to launch unsupervised full self-driving in California and Texas by 2025. The investment firm said, citing Chief Executive Elon Musk's presentation. The Cybercab is expected to be a major part of the company's business, contributing up to 20% of its overall profits by the end of the decade, with production ramping up to 100,000 Cybercabs by 2027, Wedbush said. Despite investors' concerns over the lack of details, which may temporarily impact Tesla shares, Wedbush said it believes last night's first-hand experience with the Cybercab and significant improvements in Optimus proved the event was far from a disappointment. The absence of any mention of the highly anticipated, more affordable Model 2 has raised concerns among some bearish investors, but this model will likely be produced in the first half of 2025, with deliveries by the end of 2025 at a sub $30,000 price, Wedbush noted. Wedbush maintained an outperform rating and $300 price target for Tesla. So again, Wedbush is acknowledging we didn't get any new details on the cheaper, lower price Tesla, but they still think that's coming in the first half of 2025. If that's the case, Tesla stock will do very well. But if it's coming in the first half of 2025, we need to start getting some details on this coming soon. Like November, December, we need to start hearing more about this, that, they're gearing up for production. These things don't just happen overnight, right? We don't even know what the thing looks like. And we're expecting production in the first half of 2025. You're starting to get down to the wire here as far as timelines are concerned. In other news today, Tesla's legal bid over license plates reportedly being rejected by Swedish court. This was Tesla's legal attempt to remove a blockade of license plate deliveries for new electric vehicles. The Stockholm court rejected Tesla's lawsuit against the Swedish postal service, PostNord, saying Swedish unions have constitutional rights to strike and participate in sympathy action. The article says Tesla's Robotaxi event was somewhat disappointing on lack of new vehicle, new FSD, says Truist. They say Tesla's Robotaxi event was somewhat disappointing as the EV maker should have showcased either a new vehicle or new full self-driving or FSD version to provide near-term opportunities that would support or boost the stock price, Truist Securities said in a Friday note. The company demonstrated a small Robotaxi and new mechanically impressive variant of Optimus, which may be impressive in their own right, but not enough to move the stock in our view. Tesla also showcased the RoboVan, a full FSD van, having a seating capacity of up to 20 people plus cargo, but did not provide any details about the timing of the launch or its cost, the analyst said. The EV manufacturer anticipates introducing unsupervised FSD in California and Texas in 2025 for the Model 3 and the Model Y, but Truist said it believes, quote, FSD will never work. Are the FSD failures we've observed and those well documented by others on YouTube a failure of the AI software, or are they a failure of the sensor configuration to properly detect objects, lanes, and the like? The note said. Ouch, that's definitely a bearish take, but Truist Securities maintains their hold rating and a $236 price target on Tesla stock. So that's really why Tesla stock is trading down about 8% today, currently sitting at about $220 per share. Option activity in Tesla stock today is definitely on the negative side. You have seen 255 different trades totaling $175 million with a positive order value of 30%. It's actually interesting though, today you're actually seeing the short interest fall down to 2.68%. You now have $17.75 billion currently sold short in Tesla stock, totaling 74.34 million shares. You do see about 240,000 shares today that are actually being covered on on net. So there's about 435,000 shares that are being sold short today, or covered on, and then there's about 200,000 shares that are being borrowed or sold short. So you're actually seeing about 240,000 shares being covered, which is not typically what you see on a stock that is down 8%. Tesla's Giga Shanghai has achieved a major production milestone, with the factory building its 3 millionth vehicle this week. Porsche Taycan sales are down 50% globally through the first 9 months of 2024. Only 14,042 have been sold from January through September. Overall sentiment for Tesla stock today is extremely bearish, coming in at 21. Yesterday, it was extremely bullish at 83. I think this is one of the biggest flips in sentiment we have seen in a very long time, going from extremely bullish to extremely bearish in a 24-hour period is pretty insane. Message volume today is extremely high at 93, which I believe is the highest I've ever seen this. So there's definitely a lot of people talking about Tesla, and yesterday message volume was high at 69, and the participation ratio today is high at 55. Tesla continues to run about 4,000 different ads with Google. Global inventory numbers are really starting to skyrocket here for the Model Y at about 7,800 vehicles in total global inventories. The Model 3 at about 4,400. The Model X at 3,100, and the Model S at 2,000. Now, here on the day today, we did get some major banks that started reporting earnings, JP Morgan as well as Wells Fargo. Both of those stocks are shooting higher today, following better than expected earnings. But really, what I care about is what they have to say about the consumer. So JP Morgan's CFO, Jeremy Barnum, says consumers are, quote, fine and on strong footing. And the increase in reserves was because the bank is growing its book of credit card loans, not because the consumer is weakening. So JP Morgan says consumer is doing just fine. Wells Fargo says consumer spending remains steady. The San Francisco Bank's chief financial officer, Mike Santomassimo, said on a call with reporters that consumer spending growth may be down a little bit from earlier this year, but remains solid. He noted that lower income consumers are still the most stretched as a result of higher inflation over the past few years. The bank said credit card balances rose in the quarter from a year ago. Home lending saw a slight increase at Wells Fargo. Credit card revenue dipped 2%, and auto revenue plummeted 24% due to lower loan balances and loan spread compression. So overall, the banks say the consumer is doing okay enough to continue to propel the economy higher. And I do think that is having a decent size weighting on the market's 0.5% rally today at the time of recording this video. Looking at the SPY, I think some people were nervous heading into the banks that the banks would tell us bad things about the consumer, and they didn't. Although auto revenue plummeting at Wells Fargo, credit card revenue falling 2%, some of those things are kind of a head scratcher. Overall, they had positive things to say, which makes me a little bit more positive on this market as well. I think that does marginally raise the odds of a soft landing at least a little bit higher. We did have other economic data as well that came in good. PPI month over month came in at 0%. The estimate was 0.1%. Those are headline numbers. Core month over month came in line with expectations. At 0.2%. The expectation was 0.2%. Year over year, PPI came in a little bit higher than expected at 2.8%. The estimate was 2.7%. So mostly good news from PPI. Michigan consumer sentiment did fall. So the estimate was 70.8. We came in at 68.9. So that did fall. 5-year inflation expectations came in at 3%. The estimate was 3.1%. So that came in better than expected. Consumer expectations were expected at 75. They came in at 72.9. So this is forward-looking expectations for how the economy will do. That came in well below expectations. Current conditions were expected at 64.3. You came in at 62.7, so that came in worse than expected as well. And then inflation expectations over the next year sharply moved higher from an expectation of 2.6% up to 2.9%. So the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey, it did not look very good today. And I think that's part of why 10-year Treasury yields are falling about 2.5 basis points today. Really the first day that Treasury yields have fallen at all in a long time. You're still elevated. I mean, this is barely anything compared to the 60 plus basis points of rally we've seen in the 10-year Treasury. You're still above 4%, 4.07%. But this is, I think, welcomed news for markets. CNN's Fear and Greed Index is up to 73. Yesterday, you were at 70, so people are getting a little bit more bullish today, a little bit more into greed, getting closer to extreme greed. And you can see the VIX is still at 20.50. So even though you're having another good day for markets, the VIX is only down about 2% today. So the VIX continues to remain elevated. But then again, we do have a lot of catalyst over the next 30 days or so. The election, a new payroll report, another CPI report. There's quite a few big catalysts over the next 30 days, and some people are attributing that to the reason why the VIX is elevated. Then some people say the VIX is elevated because we're going to see more volatility and more downside here over the next couple of weeks. So let me know what you think about all of this information down below in the comment section. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.